Alright, so here we are. Got this 044 here, and I'm about to start cleaning it up while I wait on parts for another saw. But as you can see, it's seen a lot of use. And it doesn't look like it was properly maintained. Properly maintained saws generally aren't this dirty. But then again, some people just run them till they give up and then go buy another one. The culture we live in today, but I digress. So I'm gonna kind of show how I clean my parts and whatnot. Someone asked me about it, so I figured I would indulge them and kind of go over how I do it. Best case, if you have a Sonic parts cleaner, that is going to be the best way to clean parts. You can break everything down individually, put it in the Sonic parts cleaner in a solution, and clean everything, and it gets it way cleaner than you could ever do by hand. But by hand you can clean it to a point to where the dirt, chips, whatever, grease that accumulate on the saw are just so minute that it doesn't affect the saw, it doesn't hurt the saw. It has no effect on the saw whatsoever. There are certain parts that if it builds up over time, yeah, it will hurt the saw, but as long as you do proper saw maintenance, clean it after you use it, empty the fluids after you use it if it's going to be stored for a while, so on and so forth, you won't have any problems. You would never have to use a Sonic parts cleaner, but that's just if you want it like brand spanking new. Here's a few things that I use. And if you're in a different country, you're probably not going to have these exact aerosols that I use here, these cleaners. But you'll be able to find something similar. This is a pure electronic cleaner. I found it works really well, but it breaks the dirt down into a coarse granular form that you need to blow out. So keep that in mind when you use it. WD-40 does actually do a little bit. It won't clean off the real stuck-on crud, but it does a really good job, and it also helps to revitalize plastic a little bit. It'll give it a little bit of a shine, and it's good to have a nice thin layer of oil on your saw. Helps prevent corrosion and keeps everything looking nice, keeps the plastics from fading and drying out. And this PB Blaster here this is what I use for the real stuck-on stuff. I have some other degreaser that I might use, but since I don't know the name of it and I don't even know where it come from, my dad had it and I got it from him, I'm not even going to include it in this. But it's a rust penetrant that has oil in it, so when it evaporates it leaves a fine layer of oil. After you use it, it's kind of strong. But it works really well for breaking down hard stuck on, caked on sawdust, oil, sawdust and oil. So I'll demonstrate that. But it's a rust penetrant. It's a penetrating catalyst. So if you're in a different country and you may not have PB Blaster, you can look for rust penetrants and try to see if it works. Don't use carb or brake cleaner. You can use that on the carburetor and cylinder and stuff like that, but don't use it on anything with paint because it will fade it, eat it up, what have you. This is safe for paint, so that's what I use, that and a toothbrush. So this video is already kind of long, so I'm going to go ahead and break here, and I'm going to start cleaning this thing, and when I'll make some short videos of my progression and kind of put them all together and show you the final product. Okay, so I just hit it with the air compressor and blew the majority of everything out. Now you'll get this kind of wet, greasy crud that gets on, I'm going to call it crud, that gets in here that's really, really hard to blow out because it's almost a liquid. So you just have to wipe that like that. So now you see the difference. And don't get me wrong, like I said, this isn't going to be perfectly clean, but it's clean enough for your saw to run good. Now, you see this residue here? This is where the PB Blaster comes in. It'll take that, or it should take that right off. And it'll also take off caked on dirt. So it takes off kind of a film, and it'll take off caked on dirt. So we're going to try this. So you just spray it on, and that rust penetrant goes down and penetrates. Sorry, I keep hitting the tripod. Penetrates that film and lifts it up. And this stuff, when you clean with it, you will need to wipe it off afterwards. Because it looks really bad now, but really all that's happening is it's lifting all that dirt out of there. And then you just wipe the majority of it off. Now it's not going to get everything, but anything that isn't like baked on, it should get the majority of it. You might have to do this a couple of times and put some elbow grease into it. Let it sit for a second. Just really depends on, you know, how stuck on it is. If you have a saw that's relatively new that hasn't been abused, you know, you don't have to go through this much trouble to clean it. That's why whenever you buy a saw, it's best to maintain the saw when it's clean instead of letting it get this bad in the first place. The I don't even know where this saw come from. I bought it from a guy for $60, so I got a good deal on it. That puts my budget for this rebuild at probably around 150 I can spend on it to get it back running again. And there you go. I mean, it's still old and kind of dingy, but it's not really dirty anymore. All right, see you in a little while.